Hello and welcome back to Swapnil's analysis. I am Swapnil. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting poem written by Ezra Pound, an American modernist and likewise a famous poet. He is known for his images which he uses in his poetry, and therefore he is also called as an imagist, a kind of movement which was very popular during the 1920s. And two are the very famous poets of America, that is Ezra Pound and the T.S. Eliot. Because T.S. Eliot, he was born in the America. Okay, so today's poem, why I have called this poem an interesting, because this is a very small poem, something about 9 lines poem, and the title of the poem is a pact. As we know, pact means an agreement, a formal agreement. So this poem, it is a kind of a formal agreement, and the poem is written in the first person, of course by Ezra Pound, and the poem is directly addressed to Walt Whitman. So we all know that Walt Whitman, he is the father of American poetry, and he had started a new kind of poetry which was totally different from the contemporary British poetry or English poetry. And he presented or he talked about the American nature, about the American life, about the American countryside, which was not been, means his poetry, which was not been influenced by any of his contemporary English poet or English writer. And therefore Walt Whitman, he is a very famous American poet, and likewise he is known as the father of American poetry, or he was someone who has breathed a new life into the American poetry. Okay, so because Whitman, he was considered as the romantic, and most of the modernist writers, they did not like romantic poetry. So here Ezra Pound, he has addressed this poem to the Walt Whitman, and Walt Whitman, as we know that when he wrote this poem, he was already dead. So through this poetry, a pact, why he gave the title to this poem as a pact, because it is a kind of a formal agreement between the two famous poets of America, Ezra Pound and Walt Whitman. Ezra Pound here, he's signing this agreement, a pact between a kind of a truce, a kind of a agreement where the two enemies, they sign that okay, henceforth we would not fight or we would not attack one another. That is a kind of a pact, and a kind of a formal agreement between the two enemies, not the two friends, okay, enemies. So here a very small poem, what Pound says, that first line, let us begin, that I make truce with you, Walt Whitman. He directly addresses Walt Whitman, and he has deliberately used the first person. I means Ezra Pound. I make truce, a kind of a agreement between the two enemies or two persons who were arguing. So here I make a truce, an agreement, that with you, Walt Whitman. So here Whitman is dead, but he is declaring, this is a kind of a declaration, this is a kind of a signing a pact. Therefore the poem is written in a kind of a assignment of the pact, where everything starts with a declaration that I make truce with you, Walt Whitman, that I won't fight with you, or here I won't dislike you henceforth. I make truce with you, Walt Whitman, means Whitman and Pound, they were not contemporaries. Rather, when Whitman died at that time, Ezra Pound, he was around 7 or 8 years old. So Pound, being a modernist and a kind of a modernist, he did not like the Walt Whitman's writing, and so therefore now he has realized his mistake, and therefore he's saying, I make truce with you, Walt Whitman, that I won't argue or I won't dislike you, Walt Whitman. I have detested you long enough. He is again informing us that Ezra Pound, somehow he did not like, or rather he hated Whitman, not Whitman as a person, but Whitman as a poet. Why? Because as I have told you earlier, that Walt Whitman, he was a romantic poet. Means he gave importance to his own imagination, not to the human feelings or not to the social feelings. So therefore, the modernist writer, who were a kind of a very socialist, they gave importance to the human feelings, and therefore these modern writers, they did not like the romantics, because they talked about the nature, the unnecessary things, according to the modern poets. Okay, I come to you as a grown child. Now, when I came to you means when I started reading your poetry, at that time I was a grown child who has had a pig-headed father. Means here, father is a person who teaches us between what is good and what is wrong. So here what is saying, that the person, not father here, it is a kind of a metaphor he has used here, a connotation, not the denotation, connotation he has used here as a father, that he is not referring to his own father or a biological father. No, he is referring to the person who has taught him about Whitman, or who told him about the bad things about the Whitman. So therefore he is referring to that person as a father, who told him that Whitman, probably he wasn't a good writer or something like that. So he's referring to that as a pig-headed father, means obstinate. Pig-headed means obstinate, very stubborn. Okay, I am old enough now to make friends. So now here, that when I was introduced to you when I was a child, the people around me, or the influential people, they told me bad things about you. But now as I have become mature, now when I read you, I want to be friends with you. That is what he's saying. I am old enough now to make friends, that now I'm mature, now I can decipher your poems by my own self. Now I can decode your poems, now I can interpret your poems by myself, and therefore now I want to make friends with you. It was you that broke the new wood. So here he now understood the contribution of Walt Whitman for the American literature. Walt Whitman, he started a new kind of American poetry, which was completely different, or which was not at all influenced by the contemporary British poetry or British writers. So he started a new kind of romantic poetry. He talked about American people, American nature, American countryside. So therefore he has realized this part when he became mature, and therefore he says, it was you that broke the new wood, means who started the new kind of poetry. Wood here is a kind of a metaphor for the new kind of a poetry. Okay, now is a time for carving. Now it is responsibility for us, a new generation of poets, new generation of new representative of American literature, that the wood which you have broken, means the poetry which you had started, now the responsibility is on us to give a shape to that wood, to write a different kind of poetry, which in your time may not have been possible, but now the onus is upon us to write a new kind of poetry, because the thing you have started now, it is our job, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to give shape to that wood. We have one sap and one root. Let there be commerce between us. What he says, now come on, let us forget about the past. Now I am here ready to make truce. I have come here to make a truce with you. Let us forget and let us there be a commerce, means let us there be a sharing. I want to learn so many things from you, Whitman, because imagine if I hate someone, then if I hate a particular writer, then what I would do, I would not read anything written by that particular writer. Okay, so the same thing has happened here with Ezra Pound. That Ezra Pound, he completely he detested Walt Whitman, as he says in the second line, that I have detested you long enough, means I hated you, I deplored you. But now, as he became mature, so he wants to learn so many things from Walt Whitman. Now he is going to read the poems of Walt Whitman, and therefore he is saying that let there be commerce between us, means let there be sharing. I want to learn so many things from you, because till this age of my life I have ignored your writing. So now I want to learn so many things from you. Why? Because I have now understood the contribution you have made to the American literature. So this is a very simple, and therefore I have said a quite interesting poem. What you think about this poem? Do read this poem. The name of the poem is A Pact. And please let me know about your own opinion about this poem, your own understanding about this poem in the comment section. Thank you for watching.